Carroll's been hired by the Raiders. Liam Cohen takes over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Aaron Glenn's the new head coach of the Jets. Ben Johnson's the new coach in Chicago, while Mike Vrabel takes the reins of the New England Patriots. Brian Schottenheimer's the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. For the Saints, Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver and Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka are scheduled to get second interviews. Current Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is considered a favorite for the job. Former Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy's name has also been floated. The Chiefs and the Eagles get set for the Super Bowl on Sunday, February the 9th. That's a week from this coming Sunday. The game will be played at the Superdome in New Orleans. The Eagles advanced with a 55-23 win over the Commanders for the NFC Championship, while the Chiefs won the AFC with a 32-29 win over the Bills. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Now's the time to shop limited-time doorbuster deals during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Little Giant King Combo 6-foot ladder. Was $199, now $149. Plus, save $100 on a DeWalt XR 20-volt Power Stack 5-amp-hour battery. Was $199, now $99. Get these can't-miss deals now before they're gone. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Doorbusters valid 113 through 115. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
That spice is 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Hi, my name is Khadijah, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick of the chicken. It's just the right amount of heat, and it gets me excited. And then, pro tip, add that cilantro lime sauce. It cools it down. If the sandwich is at 100, the cilantro lime takes it to 200. It makes me want to, tell all my friends and family.
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
These days, what can you really depend on? What's really going to be there for you tomorrow and the next day? We know that trust takes time, and we earn your loyalty every day
by giving you the winning edge.
Keep it here. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline, with the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching last night, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
So many different ways to go. The best hour of your day now is officially underway. It's Moneyline. It's Donnie and Kevin. It's SiriusXM Channel 159 radio on the SportsGrid Network. We can start with Adam Frazier signing a one-year contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates, or we can actually get to more Super Bowl talk. Now we have a day to sort of decompress. You had some excitement last night in NCAA basketball, 70-foot shots going down, forcing overtime, upsets that, according to the point spread, weren't upsets, which tends to happen in college basketball. The NBA last night, a 40-20 game for Anthony Davis, back-to-backs all over the place in a limited card tonight. But again, it gets back to the Super Bowl. It's the Eagles. It's the Chiefs. It's the SportsGrid Network. It's the place you need to be. We got meetings today. We got flights this weekend and a lot to get down towards.
Yeah, no doubt. Fun day of basketball, right? Duke got pushed on at home by NC State. Comfortable cover for the Wolfpack within that one. The NBA board had a million options. Denver loses at Chicago, giving up, 1,000 points. But yeah, the NFL, man. I mean, we're still I don't know what your schedule is fully this week, like what your work week looks like, but my schedule is very nice this week. It's going to keep that energy high around.
What about Friday for you though? Is there any way, because we have a taping which the people will like. Yeah. On Thursday, the Pro Football Today crew going to have a little bit of excitement there, so they can, I guess, show that over the weekend while we're taking flights and getting ourselves down there. But I do have off on the early line Friday morning, but still scheduled for radio, and maybe your last live appearance, Kevin, to the Super Bowl, if you wanted to sort of pop on and
it's a good point.
Look at what the deal is,
So look, we always just word came down this morning that it looks like we're going to have Lowe's stopping by to check out the door.
Wow. What do we get? Doorbell? New door?
I think we're going for a new door. I
don't tell my wife that. Should we all? If I tell her right now, I will go upstairs and be like, hey, hon, Kev's getting a new door. That would be the worst thing I would have ever sent, because even though we are in a nice house, The wife has always had an issue with the door because she'll see other doors that she likes. She wants her own door. And I've been fighting this cause to say we can't do this. We've had estimates that are absolutely outrageous. But if I say that somebody else is getting a door right now, it might be the breaking point in this house.
That's interesting because I don't like. I hear I'd love to get a new door at some point, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure, like that's great. You know what I mean? Like I don't know a ton, but I think we have someone coming to check it all out at 9:30 Friday. Yeah, I can't imagine that's that long of a process. It means I'll be up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I barring any disaster, you can lock me in for Friday because I'll be fired up. Because let me ask you something, Donnie.
Yeah.
I don't remember this. How do you structure putting your card together for the February 9th football game, the Super Bowl? Like, how do you... So I know what I did last year, and I'm doing a condensed version of it. Is like I want to break the game down right away.
Yes.
I want to get action in as the numbers come out, not under the guideline of as much as some people like, I got to get the best of the numbers are at their most vulnerable. It's not about that. It's when we get out there to New Orleans, and now it might be a little different because we're not, the schedule's a little different.
Yeah.
I want to have what I need already at my disposal. Right.
Yeah.
So I have a good portion of work done and I'll keep kind of tacking on. Like I already have a couple picks in for the Super Bowl.
Yes. I have a couple of videos that I've shot, doing some other work outside of the SportsGrid network. But I am looking at some of these things that I really like the way it's shaping up. And numbers have already been changing because you get the hit the minute the Super Bowl we understand of who it's going to be. Side total. Then the prop bets start to filter out. They get hit right away. And then they start to settle in because you always know. And typically, if you've been in this game for a long time, it's one thing. But even you as, let's just say, Joe Public per se. Hey, you know what? Like to bet games, don't really pay attention to the end of the week. But you get a whiff of, let's just say, one of those bets, Jalen Hurts to throw 1.5 touchdown passes is plus 180. Like that's not going to a 2-to-1 price. That plus 180, I guarantee you will be lower than plus 180 by the time you get to game day. Because the one thing we know about the Super Bowl, the most public bet event in history on a year-to-year basis. If you like Saquon Barkley at 113.5 today, if you wait, that's 115.5, 118.5 by the time you get to Super Bowl Sunday. If you like him to score a touchdown, which is minus 190, let's call it, that's going to be minus 200 by the time you get to game day at this point. If you are an under better, just wait this out. The public never comes over the top and goes, you know what? Love unders and everything. Points, everything. Like game itself, script, whatever. That's the way I look at it now because I know there's numbers that I've been doing research at. I haven't bet it yet, but I got a feeling it's rare because this is 2 weeks of a wait. Usually it's like, Kevin, right? Hey, playoffs just ended on Sunday. All right, Monday, Tuesday, they'll start to filter out the prop bets. By Wednesday, you can start making decisions, but you only have a couple days to do that. You have 2 weeks. I guarantee you right now, most of the people listening and yourself included, you know the game plan where you want to execute. But it's just a matter of like, boy, I'm actually locking this in 11 days before the Super Bowl. You can't think of it that way. Like, it's not unheard of that we bet games on Tuesday and Wednesday on a Sunday football game. You have to take that same mentality 11 or 12 days out. Because I'm telling you right now, if you like a number now, it's probably going to disappear by the time you actually try to bet it.
Yeah, what I would say, so I like the under in the game, Donnie.
Yeah.
And let's just use flat numbers for people, right? So let's say you typically would bet $100 if you like the under in the game.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, it's a Super Bowl, I'm gonna have $100 down on my total. For me, I play the under 49.5 for half of that. Okay. Because I know I like it at 49.5, and it will bother me to no end if it drops to 48.5. I truly will. I will show up to our Super Bowl show going, yeah, I have no picks in the game. The numbers moved. I'm annoyed. Right? It'll bother me to no end. I do think it'll come up though. Right? Like my worst case scenario is I tack on at the 49.5. I'm not concerned that if it goes to 50 or 50.5, I don't think it's going to go much higher than that. I'm not concerned that I took 49.5 for a portion because I didn't go full blast, if you will, on that 49.5 under.
Yes, sometimes you're holding a place marker on that game. Going, I like it at this number, and I'll be furious if it moves because you probably will still end up taking it, but you're just angry at yourself. Like I should have at least had a piece out of what I initially liked. It was like me talking about the Kansas City Chiefs all last week. I didn't bet them during the week, but I told every show, like, I'm probably going to bet them. It's just the second game. The Eagles is first. I like a couple options, but the minute that Eagles game is over, I'm going to bet it. And I did bet Kansas City. It wasn't for much. It was $50. Ended up winning that, but I knew where I was going. Now, it's different where it's like, okay, that line is probably not going to change. And it really didn't. So it wasn't like, hey, let me get a placeholder on the 7. Oh, no. Now it's 6.5. Like, I'm such an idiot. I took the 7. Like, you knew it wasn't good. Same way in the Super Bowl now. Like, there's nobody out there that's going to be like, you know what? Oh, I love Kansas City -1.5. Can't take him at -2 or 1. Like, those numbers are really going to be inconsequential as opposed to some of the totals that we see and the 10 cents to 20 cent line movement, maybe on the money line and or touchdown props that you have. But also, I said, New Orleans, a.k.a. Louisiana, FanDuel's in Louisiana, right? At 365, all those, I would assume. Since it's
I was told it is.
Yeah, so which is good because last year, going out to Vegas, I thought one of the questions you might be like, hey, we're going to be out there and the numbers are changing. And unless you're just betting tickets in Vegas, you can't bet FanDuel, DraftKings, Bet365 in Nevada in the state. So at least in New Orleans, we can have some fun and still be getting down as the week goes on.
The only thing I'll tell people is I don't think you can like cash out of stuff that you placed in one state if you're not in that state. So like if you're taking those crazy parlays and things like that, like get back home.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they're just time stamped, and you actually have to log in differently, or it won't show up unless you're in
at least on
FanDuel. Yeah, I get it. Yep, you're right about that. Much more to go. It's Moneyline. Let's get you ready, baby. We'll be back.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin. He just gives that vibe. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Workers at a Whole Foods market in Pennsylvania voted to unionize on Monday, becoming the first group of employees to pull off a labor win at the Amazon-owned grocery store chain.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg.
This update brought to you by Progressive. Employees at the Philadelphia store cast 130 votes, or about 57% of the ballots cast in favor of joining a local chapter of the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union for the purposes of collective bargaining. According to the National Labor Relations Board, which oversaw the election, 100 workers rejected the motion. President Trump is carrying out his immigration crackdown nationwide with over 1,000 arrests reported by ICE on Monday. The actions prompted a tense standoff between U.S. and Colombia after Colombia's president turned away deportation flights from the U.S. Trump then threatened tariffs as high as 25% against the South American nation, causing its leader to reverse course and accept deported migrants.
I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Now's the time to shop limited-time doorbuster deals during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Little Giant King Combo 6-foot ladder. Was $199, now $149. Plus, save $100 on a DeWalt XR 20-volt Power Stack 5-amp-hour battery. Was $199, now $99. Get these can't-miss deals now before they're gone. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Doorbusters valid 1/13 through 1/15. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
SportsGrid is different. We're not just any ordinary sports talk. We have a lineup of world-class experts giving you gaming strategies to help you gain the winning edge. As easy as falling off the couch reaching for the remote. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Right back at it, setting up the Super Bowl. Not too much of a difference here. If I'm looking across the board, ticket count is heavy on the Eagles, but not on the FanDuel Sportsbook individually. This morning, they were 53% and 58%. 53% tickets, 58% money. Across the board, I have 65% and 72% of the Eagles. So obviously some other outlets really taking the brunt. No movement, though. 1.5s across the board. Now, let's have some fun with this, too, because Ben and I did this morning. Just questions on where does this go? And the first question was, the line is 1.5 today, as it sits on January 28th on a Tuesday. Where's that line Super Bowl Sunday at kickoff? What would you say it would be?
I think 2. I think Kansas City's going to be a very, very, very popular bet leading into this game, right? Just the it's Mahomes stuff, right? I think is going to be overwhelming. Like, you have to think about it like this, Donnie. The way the Chiefs beat the Ravens last year was kind of like, look, man, I'm not even trying to disrespect Kansas City, but that had nothing to do with them. Like, what Baltimore just did was so dumb. I can't even comprehend, right?
Yes.
Where what Kansas City did against Buffalo is kind of the stuff that, people have been either asking for or saying would happen. And I think it's going to inspire confidence then in those people that, well, the Chiefs just win, because they did it, Donnie, in that. I mean, they scored their season high points.
You're right. And as we're just getting caught up taking a look at, which is so funny, this got up. Sometimes things that you think about, telepathy, enter into the equation. I'm on this run, Kevin, from yesterday to today, that I'm going to keep this up. Yes, Kansas City beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the last Super Bowl. I thought the Eagles were the better team. They were favored to win that game. They had a double-digit lead. They didn't get it done. But it started to creep back into me how angry I was from that Super Bowl, where we said, you are supposed to have the best stadium and the best field conditions you can possibly have. A team that sacked more quarterbacks in the history of the NFL than anybody else was the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles. They got to the Super Bowl, and it was an ice skating rink. And somebody just posted a picture, says, make sure this man has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. That's the old sodfather guy that, was supposed to have all the, it's not my fault, it's the NFL's fault. They didn't water it here. They left it outside. There's no doubt about it. It was an awful game plan. I get so excited now that I say to myself, I can just see, Kevin, next week on a Wednesday, and the NFL go, you know what? We got this brand new AstroTurf that we've never used before, and it's so good that it's going to make for such a great game where they would just lay it down and it'll be a disaster. Half the battle for me in this game is, where's the game? It's New Orleans. Great. It's indoors, no windy conditions, no rain, no nonsense, no sun in your eyes at one direction or the other, and a super fast track where everybody has footing. Because I don't care if it's spilled milk, you're crying, you're making excuses. You can't say that the best sack team in the history of football didn't get a sack because everybody was on ice skates and have that ability to be like, well, both teams had to play on it. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. If long as we don't mess with, hey, by the way, there was leaks in the roof at the Superdome this weekend. The stadium's all, just give me a clean surface, please.
Yeah, that would be great if we don't have to deal with stupidity.
The sodfather.
I mean, that's what that Super Bowl was. It was absolutely. But again, you see that stuff, and it then just largely gets chalked up to it's Mahomes. I'll give a little anecdote from Game Time last night, and I just want to clarify, just in case. I love talking football with Brady Cannon. We've been doing it all year long, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I said, Donnie, he's somebody kind of makes his numbers. So I'm curious, Brady, with the games on Sunday, did they kind of shift the power rating a little bit, those standalone performances? And the response was, yeah, with what Kansas City did, probably, strengthens the number a little bit. And again, with all due respect, I don't understand what's going on. The Eagles won a game by 30 points. The Chiefs won a game by 3. And I was like, yeah, but Kansas City, this is
unbelievable.
This is what we do with this team. And people wonder why I go crazy. They won by 3 points. They had the same amount of scoring possessions as Buffalo. The same amount of touchdowns, the same amount of field goals. The difference was Buffalo, right, went for 2, didn't get it, then went for 2 again, didn't get it, and put themselves behind. And Kansas City went for 2 and did get it, right?
Yes.
That's kind of the game that we got. It happens, but I don't know, man. I'm not saying that Buffalo deserved to win. I'm not chipping the football. I'm not worried about any of that. But of those 2 games, I'm still trying to figure out, Donnie, how much of it is people's love for Kansas City and how much people still just don't fully get this Eagle team.
Yeah,
that I think is a big part of it too.
It's a lot of both, because even though Kansas City's run, right? Number 1 seed, totally deserved. 1 loss with their starters in the regular season, which was to the Buffalo Bills. The way they got to this point, because you never got first home game is going up against the Texans. Like, outside of Joe Lisi, love him. Nobody said, like, oh, man, we don't want to face the Texans here, right? Beat them, no problem. Like, the Buffalo Bills came to town. And I know a lot of the public was like, hey, man, that's the hot side. I thought it was going to be Kansas City. But nobody looked at that game and said, man, nobody wants to play. Kansas City, you don't want to play the Buffalo Bills. Like, nobody was really saying that. But I always get back to the Eagles. Like, I can't even believe, like, the public saying this. Packers, best 7 seed. Nobody's ever seen a 7 seed like this. I don't know how the Eagles can even win that game. Okay. Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, the hot Rams, Dan, ESPN, what's his name slipped my mind?
Oh, Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky. This is the hottest team left in the playoffs. Like, what are we watching here? Beat that team. The team of destiny, Washington. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in football. Jalen Hurts is a really bad quarterback. I can't even believe the Eagles are going to have to play the Washington Commanders. Blew them off the field. So now, once again, we get to the Super Bowl, and they go, Jalen Hurts probably is going to have a really bad game, which Dove Kleiman tweets out the last 3 years seasonal statistics between Hurts and Mahomes. Hilarious to look at those narratives in real time at this point. So there's a lot of things going against the Eagles, which I like. You want to be the underdog. You want to be the hated team. But I got to tell you, plenty of room on this bandwagon where we can all circle up and hate on the Chiefs and beat them down, which is what we want. We'll be back.
Get SportsGrid on the radio, TV, our mobile app, or the internet. In other words,
if you can't hear us, you're the problem.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1960, the NFL announces the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings will be entering the league. The Vikings and Cowboys would meet 4 times in the playoffs in the 1970s, with Dallas taking 3 of 4, including the 1975 Hail Mary game, as the Cowboys won 17-14.
He got it! Touchdown!
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
South Korean scientists have developed swarms of tiny robots working together like ants to perform Herculean feats, picking up and carrying objects many times their size, climbing together and hurling themselves over obstacles while moving objects over 2,000 times their weight. Is this the dreaded nanobot singularity? Each microbot is actually just 600 micrometers tall and meant to clean human arteries and carry targeted drugs, saving lives. So ignore the hype. It's all a question of scale. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Football full circle.
They were in a position where they were tight yet again. You have to believe that you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And you had Matt Collins that was playing good. Keon Coleman, get him out of there. That was a complete waste of space. The bottom line is this. You have a 6'5 quarterback. Push him and don't go off tackle. Go right up the gut, the way Jalen Hurts does it.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Let's make something crystal clear. The winning edge has nothing to do with increasing good luck. Luck has nothing to do with it. It's sports gaming strategies and information. You want luck? Flip a coin. You want to win? Flip it here. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Game plans for the Super Bowl, when some of these lines might end up by the time we get to Super Bowl Sunday. Had some fun with this on the early line. Total, 49.5. Opening, still sits at 49.5. That's a tough threshold to get over. Because it's like, hey, man, $99.99, that's a good price. $100, that's too much, man. I'm not paying $100 for that thing. Like, price point sometimes does matter to the optics. 50 seems like a ton. 49.5 seems doable at this point. But if this line, let's just say this, anytime between right now and Tuesday, the closing line on Sunday, do you think we see a 50 at a prominent outlet for the total in this game?
I think so. I do. I think it is a number that is more likely to trickle up. I think, Donnie, one of the things that could influence this total is clean bills of health for Dickerson and Juergens.
Yes.
Which I'm kind of expecting. Like, you just think about news that we're waiting on, right? Well, Kansas City's not going to really give us any, right?
You were listening this morning to the early line here.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, some guys who maybe know what's going on then, I guess. I imagine, Donnie, that type of positive news. I mean, also, listen, people keep talking about the fast track, I don't know how much it's worth playing the game in New Orleans versus, say, playing a game in Kansas City. I probably disagree with how much it's worth, but that's par for the course because I typically bet against weather movement all the time.
Yeah, no, and your point is exactly what I was going over this morning, because the thought was, like, where's that line going to end up? Is it 2? Is it 1? Is it 1.5? Is it Eagles favorite? Is it 3 Chiefs? Going over all those options. And I was with you, and I said to myself, the Chiefs coming into last week, we were saying, like, they were really healthy across the board. They came out of that game pretty much unscathed for the most part. So they're going to head to the Super Bowl as what you expect. Because a lot of times in the past, you're like, oh, man, we got 2 weeks to talk about if this guy's leg is healed up. Jalen Hurts, who the question on Sunday was, and rightfully so, is the guy going to be compromised in the pocket, to say the least? Like, can he stand up? Is that pass rush going to be coming down and he can't protect himself? He was okay in that game. But now he has 2 weeks to get even better. So that is a positive for the Eagles. Same way you brought up the line. Cam Juergens, a Pro Bowl center, like your center, being out for a football game, and the Eagles going like, just throw Landon over there. Hope he's just fine. He doesn't snap the football, but we're not worried about put Steen at left guard. It's like, wait a second. This is the best offensive line in football, maybe the most important spot. You're down, and you're using maybe the best guard in football as your center, which is going to limit some of the things he can do, and is that going to affect protections? And it worked out in their favor. So now we're saying, well, Jalen Hurts gets 2 weeks to get the leg amped up when it looked fine when they scored 55 points and he ran 10 times. Saquon Barkley, which was my biggest one, Kevin, because I still date myself back to this. Me and the big man on campus got into it on Facebook, on Twitter/X. When I said, you know what? Lost to the Washington Commanders, no big deal. That means we have an automatic bye we'll take in Week 18, healthy for the playoffs. You can't do that. You got to play for the one seed. Now, as it turned out, if nothing changed, which it didn't, everybody else won out. The Eagles had to play all 18 games without their bye week, which was in the 4th or 5th week of the season, and they wouldn't have had that. Saquon Barkley, they knew he was going to be needed in the playoffs. Shot out of a cannon in all 3 of those playoff games. Yeah. Now he gets 2 weeks to sit back and relax and say, you know what? Let me be full strength. And the same thing as you pointed out, Landon Dickerson. He's going to play in that football game. Could he have played maybe a week later? Big, strong, big, ugly guy up there. Like, he's probably going to get in anyway. That extra week is massive. So usually say, Kevin, like, oh, no. Wish this game was in like 4 days. Like, look at the advantage. No more advantage at all for either side on health, which actually favors the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm with you on that take.
Yeah, and I think we're going to also hear a lot about bye weeks. Every situation's different. I just want to let people know. The last time the Eagles and Chiefs played one another where both teams were off of a bye was not the Super Bowl. It was last season. The Eagles who didn't know how to win a football game, it was, at Kansas City, and Philadelphia won that football game.
Yep.
Different teams. I'm just letting people know. I saw a little bit of it. People still don't really think Sirianni's all that good. Okay, we'll see. It is what it is. But yeah, I think considering Kansas City, Donnie, was, I guess, essentially already at maximum health. Yeah, like there's some of this stuff with the options are either it's the Eagles or you're lying. The bye week is obviously better for the Eagles.
Correct. No doubt about it. Especially it's not a bye week where the other team gets 2 weeks, you get 1 week. Like, hey,
correct.
It's equal advantage coming into this. The Eagles have been home just like the Chiefs for it feels like a month at this point. They finally both have to get on a plane, but there won't be any jet lag there. We're going to go over key components in this game because I think one matchup could actually decide this finish. We'll talk about that and more. Getting you ready for the Super Bowl. I don't care if it's in a week and a half. We got to get you there.
Losers rely on luck. Winners depend on getting the information they need.
Winners depend on us.
The home of the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The Chiefs and the Eagles get set for the Super Bowl on Sunday, February the 9th. That's a week from this coming Sunday. The game will be played at the Superdome in New Orleans. The Eagles advanced with a 55-23 win over the Commanders for the NFC Championship, while the Chiefs won the AFC with a 32-29 win over the Bills. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts says running back Saquon Barkley is a big reason why Philly's playing for the title.
He's been able to take us to the next level in many ways, take our running game to the next level in many ways.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes now second all-time in playoff wins.
It's obviously really cool. That's your goal, is to win in the postseason. But I've been blessed to be on a lot of great football teams with a lot of great coaches and a great organization, and I just try to maximize every moment because you never know when it's going to be your last one. I know I'm a long way from Tom, so I'll try to do whatever I can to get close to that.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in the parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
When you're a player,
advantage is important.
That would be bringing you sports gaming strategies and information
7 days a week.
We call it the winning edge. Everybody else calls it
unfair.
Hate the game, not the player, dude.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Matchups in the Super Bowl. We got so much time to prepare. I'll have a solo mission tomorrow on a Wednesday. Thursday, no Moneyline due to preempted taping that the boys will be in studio. Friday, I'll be here on Friday. Maybe Kevin will drop by, and then no Moneyline the next week. We'll be at the Super Bowl. We'll be doing live stuff. We'll be doing tape stuff. We'll be doing interviews. It should be a lot of fun. But it is still fun to say, okay, well, you have a long time, but it's Sunday. You watch, you analyze, you have fun, you bet. Monday, it's what just happened here with a slight look forward. Now we're still in basking of the glory. If you're a Chiefs fan, if you're an Eagles fan, if you want a lot of money, now you got to get ready for the Super Bowl. Sometimes it comes down to a few key components, which, again, I said 2 years ago, the Philadelphia Eagles had the better football team against the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't win. Mahomes did what Mahomes did. Field was slippery. Pass rush doesn't get home. Mahomes make plays. It's what he does. They have the heart of a champion. There is no denying that. But once again, Kevin, we're going to have a Super Bowl, which now is what? 3 years in a row. Eagles were the better team, talent-wise. Last year, no denying, the San Francisco 49ers were more talented than San Francisco, and here again. So it doesn't just go, hey, how's your talent and how good are you at one position, which Patrick Mahomes makes up for a lot. But hear me out on this. The one thing that's Kansas City has been able to get away with, because why? They have an unbelievable offensive coordinator. They also have one of the best centers in football that can make those line adjustments and moves, and Creed Humphrey's fantastic. And just the way that this offense is put together. But that offensive line has not been like the Eagles. Like, hey, main parts are there 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row. They change the change. One of the biggest changes here is, number one, Juwan Taylor is one of the worst tackles in football. He's the right tackle. Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, Jalix Hunt will be lined up on him time to time. He's the guy. Well, I never heard that name before. Watch the Chiefs game. This guy's false starting every play. Most of the time gets away with it. The most penalized right tackle in football, holding whatever. But, Kevin, you know as well as I do, when Aaron Donald speaks up last week and goes, my replacement is already in the NFL. His name is Jalen Carter. That's the respect he gets. Chris Jones is spectacular as well. Two of the best inside pass rushers in the sport that can wreak havoc. But the Philadelphia Eagles go, all right, we got Mekhi Becton, one of the best guards in football. On the other side, it's going to be Landon Dickerson, one of the best guards in football, and a good center. Try to slow him down. Maybe you can't, because big game Chris Jones is the best version of Chris Jones. We've seen it for years now. But I say this. Joe Thuney was one of the best guards in football, Kevin, for the past decade plus. Patriots, and now over here with the Chiefs. He's so versatile that they've been having problems at left tackle that he's moved out there and it's been serviceable, which means Caliendo goes to guard one of the worst guards in football, which means they're going to line up one-on-one Jalen Carter. If they do that, he will wreck your offense, which means Reed Humphrey and Caliendo are going to have to double-team him repeatedly, which ups Williams' quality, Jordan Davis' quality, ways to get after him. But the Eagles' advantage on that defensive line with breaks in the system on that offensive line for the Chiefs, that is the matchup I'm watching for this Super Bowl. Because if you don't have to bring 6 and 7 blitzers to go after Patrick Mahomes, which could be a suicide mission, and you can get home with 4, which the Eagles couldn't do in the last Super Bowl because nobody could get traction and everybody fell down the minute that they tried to bend around the offensive tackles. That is my key vantage point for this. If the Chiefs hold up, great chance they win this game. But if the Eagles win that, great chance they win that game.
Yeah, I think it's a great breakdown. I think it's a great point. And I think what I would offer up to people is Kansas City, Donnie, against Houston. Let me start like this, Donnie. We all agree the Texans have a better defense than the Buffalo Bills, right?
Correct.
Like, that's okay.
Yes.
So,
no arguments.
Kansas City, the way they looked against Houston, I know some still chalked it up to, hey, they did what they needed to, right? But I was like, I don't know, man. That was more of the same, right? Less than 300 yards of offense, red zone inefficiency, like not doing a ton. That's what I saw in that football game from KC.
And at home.
And I don't think people can fully grasp the gap between the Eagles defense and whoever you think the second best defense is in football. 6 yards per pass attempt is what the Eagles allowed this season. In second, right, was 6.7 allowed to opponents. 6.7. The gap, Donnie, from Philly to the second team is the gap from the second team to the 24th in opponent yards per pass allowed. The gap from playing the Eagles and literally any other defense is the gap from playing a pretty good defense to a legitimately bad defense. And that was ultimately, I think, kind of the gap I could argue we saw Kansas City go from playing in Houston to Buffalo. So this is just, it is one of those things, Donnie, where if the Chiefs end up with 28, 31, 34, 38. Oh, yeah, I was way wrong. Wrong. I was like, they just, however it plays out, right? Whatever it might be. They just made it happen then, I guess, but we'd have to see the specifics. But I can't find anything that would suggest that type of game is coming. I'll throw this out quickly.
Yes.
Kansas City just scored 30-plus points for the third time this season. The follow-up performances, Donnie, so far in the other 2 games. Scoring 16 at home to Denver and 19 at home to Vegas. Team total was well above 24.5 in both of those games. You could say, but they were letdown spots. They were, I don't know, I don't know. Or maybe it's an offense that's not been that great, and it's hard to then hit that level in consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
Time will
and
tell.
The one thing I know you hit on there, because usually the MO, like when you think Buffalo Bills, what do you think about? Like, oh, all right, Josh Allen on offense going to make some plays. Got a good defense, good pass rush, serviceable secondary. And I just kept saying, like last week, the 28th and the 29th ranked defenses were on the football field for the road teams last week. Usually doesn't hold up, and it didn't. Now, one of them got really exposed with 55. The other one got 32 hung on him in a closer game. But I think the vantage point is like you're taking a positive out of that game. Like, hey, they moved the football against the Buffalo Bills defense. When Houston is in the top 10, which they struggled to move, they moved it easily. But now, as we like to say, number one with a bullet, that's the Eagles. Like, just looking at things like Pro Football Focus, the secondary, Kevin, alone. Like the Eagles are a 93.6 coverage grade as a team with everybody fully healthy entering into this one. If you look at Kansas City, they have a really good secondary. They're 82.6. If you look at the Buffalo Bills secondary, which, like, hey, they moved the football up, Kevin, the 31st ranked secondary in football.
See that again. Oh, so they're the 31st ranked secondary. Donnie,
correct.
Is the 32nd? Who's the 32nd?
Vegas.
Okay. The overall defensive rankings, right? Can you just tell me something?
Sure.
Tampa Bay finished where?
Tampa Bay was 19th in the final standing.
Now, they got to 30 on Tampa Bay, but that's because the game went to overtime. And, Donnie, where did Carolina finish? 32?
Oh, boy. Carolina's dead last in the NFL, correct.
So just so everybody knows, the teams that Kansas City scored 30 points on in regulation this year were both bottom 5 defenses via Pro Football Focus in Buffalo and Carolina. Like, people should probably say, hey, Kev, how are you on Buffalo if you knew the Bills' defense was this bad, right? How?
Yes.
And that's a super, super fair critique. I would say I thought that the Buffalo offense would play cleaner earlier in the game, and I didn't expect Kansas City's red zone efficiency to be driven through their ground game. That was a surprising wrinkle. Mahomes was running quarterback powers. I was surprised by that. But it doesn't stop the facts that the only time Kansas City's offenses look the way people wanted to is when they play a really bad defense. And now they're playing a really great defense.
Yep. Overall rankings on offense, the Eagles came in with an 82.4, and Kansas City at a 78.3. On defense, the Eagles' overall rating a 91. Second place is the Chiefs, 79. Woo! Woo! Super Bowl LIX. Let's, baby, get them in.
Every day we have one job.
To make bells ring.
And we do exactly that by giving you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Top 25 men's basketball on Monday. Number 2 Duke improved to 10-0 in the ACC with a 74-64 win over NC State. The Blue Devils are 18-2 overall. In overtime, Arizona upset number 3 Iowa State 86-75. Top 25 women's hoops on Monday. Number 2 South Carolina improved to 8-0 in the SEC, 20-1 overall. They beat number 18 Tennessee 70-63. The Chiefs and the Eagles get set for the Super Bowl on Sunday, February the 9th. That's a week from this coming Sunday. The game will be played at the Superdome in New Orleans. The Eagles advanced with a 55-23 win over the Commanders for the NFC Championship, while the Chiefs won the AFC with a 32-29 win over the Bills. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts says running back Saquon Barkley is a big reason why Philly's playing for the title.
He's been able to take us to the next level in many ways.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Right now at Wendy's, get 2 of these fave items for just $7. The spicier classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single, or 10-piece nugs. It's an incredible deal, but an insanely difficult choice. Do you go double chicky sando, both spicy and classic, 1 beefy and 1 chicky? Or maybe you go all in on one and go Nug Max. 2 faves for just $7? Gotta be Wendy's.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time only. Select a request 2 for $7 deal to redeem. Not valid in a combo or with saucy nugs. Single item at a regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in the parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Sure, the cashiers all know you by name.
You win a lot.
But we know where your real kingdom lies. The water cooler. Because you just can't buy that look of quiet awe in your friend's eyes. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Right back at it, people. Super Bowl LIX New Orleans. We'll be out and about in the town. By the way, I've been telling Kevin already. You got to get your basis around you. Like, when I get there, when we get to the hotel, I'm going to have to find a place where I can buy some pineapple juice around the corner. You know, just a little can here or there just to keep some of the spirits lively on set, maybe late night here. I know Joe Lisi's booking dinners out here, which I'm just going to probably have a large glass of pineapple juice with some ice just to sip on it while the boys hammer down, you know, gumbos and steaks and shrimp and all that good stuff. But I'm ready for it. I've been through many dinners where I don't eat when everybody else eats. I'm just fine with that. But once we get to, I was looking where the convention center is. From our hotel, about maybe 10, I'd say it's maybe 10 or 13 minutes, I think it came up on on Expedia or whatever the map choice is, Google Maps. But it's right down by the water. But next to it, Kevin, the convention center, there's a place called the Riverwalk, where it's basically like an outlets per se, combined with like places you can eat food. And I was like, this could be a dream come true, because you know me. Like, I look and say, all right, where can I actually eat my food and be fine? We were in Vegas last year, which meant like we get on the monorail to and from, eat here, eat there, get back. It was real easy to do. But I start getting nervous, like, okay, well, I have to eat. I just eat lunch. I'm in a convention center with nothing around the convention center. And for the first like day, I was like, oh no. Like, I'm looking on the app, like there's no fast food around there. There's like random like Louisiana like restaurants around there. I'm like, what is this? So then I just keep on looking around on Google Maps and going like up and down the street. And I finally went out left, and right next to the convention center on the water is that Riverwalk. They got the famous beignets place there, which everybody loves in New Orleans. I forget what the name will come to me in a second, but it's the famous one. Okay. But also 4 to 5 places to eat. Burgers, ice cream outlets, like all of that stuff. I was like, now this is perfect, where I can be down there all day, walk out of the building, no Uber, go across the street, find exactly what I need. So now like I'm feeling like the Eagles are there. I'm set on everything I need. Temperatures next week between 65 to 70 degrees. Like, now I'm starting to be like, you know what? Starting to fall in line here. It really is. Because I was worried about the eating situation. Like, am I taking an Uber across town to go get some In-N-Out or whatever? No. Like, I was hoping it was right there, and it looks like I can walk out the front door, eat, and go right back in the convention center.
Now, my question, though, is, right, because, it always does get a little interesting to kind of watch, you live the way you do.
Yes.
Right? Normal eating time when you're home, right, on that schedule's
11 to 12:30 is what I like to have that done. Yeah.
Right. Out there, you will shift it a little, I imagine.
Yeah, because the hour doesn't really affect me, if that, you know what I mean? 3 hours really affects me. The hour doesn't affect me. So if it's like, hey, you got to eat at 1 there, which means 2 here, I'm okay with that. But I still will have like because you see me in the mornings when I know I can't eat for a long time. I have the little like 8-ounce can of pineapple juice that in between takes I'll sip on, gives me a little electrolytes, gives a little pep, sort of calms me down. Then I can eat afterwards when I knock down multiple bagels in the car before I eat by the time I get home. So there is wiggle room. It's not like I'm going to implode if I can't eat at 11:30 a.m. every day.
I do now have bagel car questions, but before that, hold on.
All right.
And I have more questions. We are going to end up doing just Donnie's eating in the rest of this segment.
Sure. Want to know.
Are you worried at all, though, that like the days could be a little random and they're like, hey, listen, man, we need you for da-da-da. And you're like, nope, I need I need an hour to situate myself.
No, because again, like my days deviate on Sundays. I usually, like today, like how I go about my business. The minute I get off the air for the early line, I go upstairs. If there's a leftover bagel, I'll munch on that. If there's potato chips, I'll eat that. If there's cookies, I'll eat that. Like I just like to start it there. Then we do an hour radio show. The minute I get off, I'm going to Chipotle. I'm going to a pizza shop. I'm getting the cheesesteak right immediately. So really my window is like 11 to 12:30-ish. And then nothing really after that. But those windows are fine either way. Like if I have to grab something like, hey, man, I brought a pack of cookies with me. Like that will be fine. And that keeps me good for like the next hour or two, even 2 hours. Because when we end the show on Sunday, it's 1 o'clock typically. I usually like to eat at 11, start at 11. I don't get to eat at 11. Okay. Like I can't just be like, hey, let me knock down something while I leave and you guys are at the desk. But once I leave there, like I'll eat 3 bagels on the way home.
Yeah. All right, so that's the follow-up.
I pick up pizza and a cheesesteak. Now, granted, I'm not eating as much because I just had 3 bagels. So instead of the 4 or 5 slices, I go down to 2. And not because I'm like, hey, let me save my calories. I'm just full from 3 bagels on the ride home. And a whole cheesesteak down to maybe a half of the cheesesteak. So it does get adjusted, but those hours extend open because I can't do anything about it. Like I'm not eating McDonald's on the ride home. Like I want to enjoy something.
Now the bagels, they are
plain. Cinnamon raisin, not toasted,
not cut open.
Cheese, not cut open. I eat it like a donut, and it's the greatest 25 minutes in my car to get me started.
But I imagine
the minute I get that car, Kevin, and I open up that bag and I go, this is like this could be the finest steak in the world right here. And it's still and that bagel shop, kudos to them in Colts Neck, the best bagels. And that helps me because
you really like that place.
I love
really
that
like
place.
that place.
I don't go anywhere that I don't like. Like if I eat one or two times, like not good, like Joe Lisi's bagels brought in, it got to the point where it's like I was angry that I had Joe Lisi's bagel in my car because it was so unsatisfying. I wondered why I was eating it. Now I have this place. I'm like, those 5 weeks, what I was missing out on, which is why I stop there and don't bring the bagels in for other reasons. But I keep the 6 bagels, which I don't eat all 6, but I feel like an idiot to let me just get 2 bagels. Yo, bro, throw 6 in there, throw a tip on for yourself. I'm out of here. It's good vibes. And I've been loving it ever since.
All right, last question.
Go.
How are you handling eating Sunday with whenever your flight is?
This is a tough one. No, see, that's fine, though, because my flight's 1:32. You know what I mean? So I'm already going to be like
before?
Maybe at the airport, yeah. Or maybe even like I don't have to like leave for like 11, so it might just be right there, or I'll grab something on the way where the wife can drive and I can eat something like that. That's not that bad. Coming back won't be that bad, but the one that is actually the interesting one is Super Bowl Sunday, 12-3. Which again, well, why is that bad? Like I don't know if I want to eat and then go in the air, but I certainly don't want to wait till 3 o'clock in the afternoon to eat at that point. You know what I mean? So that one's the interesting day. Is this Sunday?
I think we're 11-2, by the way.
Oh, even better then. Then maybe I can't wait. See that? Look at that. Handle business right away. It's how we do things. DRS's eating strategies up next.
A sports gamer who relies on luck never makes the same mistake twice.
It's usually 3 or more times.
We're the home of the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Carver and Lisi.
Allen can stand toe-to-toe with Mahomes. The rest of the guys can't. The Chiefs go to the Super Bowl every year because, yes, they have Mahomes, but they also have Chris Jones. And they also have Travis Kelce. And they also have this guy that the Bills handed them, who was the best wide receiver in the whole game last night, and that's Xavier Worth, who was just running all over the place making plays, who the Bills gave to them.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid Radio presents Gridiron Greats.
The throw is to Rice. Touchdown.
Jerry Rice is the NFL's all-time leading receiver with 1,549 receptions and 22,895 yards, scoring 208 touchdowns. Rice is a 3-time Super Bowl champion for the 49ers and won MVP honors in Super Bowl 23.
One-handed catch. Oh, my.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1960, the NFL announces the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings will be entering the league. The Vikings and Cowboys would meet 4 times in the playoffs in the 1970s, with Dallas taking 3 of 4, including the 1975 Hail Mary game, as the Cowboys won 17-14.
Drew Pearson. He got it. Touchdown.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
Getting the winning edge is dead simple. There's no fees, forms, pre-enrollment tests, classes, dress codes, or background checks.
All you gotta do is listen. And you're already doing that.
Stay simple. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Steve Avila at the Super Bowl. Boy, that could be Joe Lisi's. By the way, you want some funny stuff. And by the way, Avila, who again just got knocked out by the Philadelphia Eagles. He did win a world championship. Did he come on later? Did he play with that Rams team that won?
I'm not sure so. He did. I don't think
Maybe
so. I think he missed it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he missed it.
But just to have fun, like being at the Super Bowl, where like as the week goes on, if anybody that doesn't know has ever been the Radio Row or even watched, much different in the past, and it's actually called Media Row now, no longer Radio Row, because a lot more TV. There used to be just a bunch of radio stations. Now it's basically like, no, you're doing all videos here and TV, and some people do radio. But as the week goes on, like Mondays is like, okay, people are starting to get into town. Tuesdays starting to get into town. Wednesdays start to heat up. Like Thursday is like that peak day where everybody's in town. The big stars, like the Joe Montanas, are rolling through and all that stuff. Friday, it starts to wind down because, number one, games in town. How much more are you going to do after 4 straight days? There, you got every interview you wanted, but there's still some stragglers like left over. It's not the player's fault. It's not whoever it is, but it's like, all right, last interview, 1 p.m. We got one for like 4 o'clock. And it's like, who's scheduled for that? And the fight is on to try to switch, get it changed. Who wants this or who is it? And correct me if I'm wrong. Steve Avila, you did that one? Did you do Steve Avila last year?
I did.
So it was you. Gotcha.
But
Go ahead.
What's so funny about that is it was maybe my favorite of the entire week.
Wow.
Because he's an offensive lineman for the Rams, for anybody who doesn't know.
Yes.
I have no idea how it came up, but we had Donnie was like, you ever watch offensive lineman highlights kind of thing somehow?
Yes.
And the next thing you know, we both like, it was almost like Step Brothers where it was like 3, 2, 1, Quentin Nelson at Notre Dame. Like, you've seen the clip, I'm sure, Donnie, where Quentin Nelson at Notre Dame, there's like a cornerback blitzing and he just like peels off and rips this guy's head off on pass protection kind of thing. Like, and it was just like, you know how some athletes don't watch sports at all? And it's like, I don't really understand you guys. Where I appreciated Avila's like, listen, all the clips that you probably watch, like on YouTube and on Twitter and on TikTok, I watch them as well. And it was a good little back and forth.
No, it's funny how you can go into interviews like that. And if the people don't know, like you have sometimes, like you see them on the list, but you're just getting a couple notes together. But a lot of times you are sitting down with somebody just says, this is so-and-so from this company or player, 3, 2, 1, you're going live. And you got to make it happen. And these guys are usually pretty affable. They'll help you out and be like, you know what? You get off topic. You talk about fun stuff. We had Matt Collins. We're talking about him selling beef jerky and why he doesn't wear shoes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you sort of just flow into stuff and ask questions. But the funniest one for me was we couldn't have been more than 10 minutes away from this interview coming up. And it was Joe Lisi's time to do the interview. And I was joking with him. It was Akbar Baja Biamila. And it wasn't that Joe Lisi didn't want to do that. He couldn't say the name. Like, he couldn't, because you're going to have to say the guy's name to introduce him and close out. And it's a tough name when you look at it if you're not used to saying it. So I had to, pinch hit for Joe and Akbar Baja Biamila, which was a great interview because he's a media guy. Real simple to get through. We talked about him with the Raiders back in the day. His brother's a great football player. How'd you wind up here? And before you know it, 10 to 15 minutes is through in a snap. But those are the ones I get to laugh at where he was like, please, Donnie, I got you. Like, just take this interview coming up in 5 minutes, please. And me is like, I don't want to. I want to watch you play this out and see how, you know what I mean? But I knew I couldn't do that because I could say his name and was familiar. But I knew, he was like, I can do it, but we're going to have to be like, stop, start, because I can't say his name correctly, which would have been hilarious to watch you play out. But, the sort of pinch hitting at the last minute for players that you were going to get or not get, that was a great one last year.
Yeah, listen, sometimes you look at it, you go, I'm not really sure about like that because you know me and the names. I mean, look, man, we had a whole season of me not being able to say Brian Dable
or Steichen. Yeah, still doing it to this day.
Yeah, Steichen.
Steichen. Yeah, same thing.
I don't remember Larry O. You think he'll be out there?
That was a good one, man. That was one of the better ones. Larry O. MVP style. How can he play into this one? But those are the fun things we had because honestly, you'll be like, hey. And understand, nobody wants to shirk work duties. We all like to be in the mix and have some fun. But there are some times where, a boss will come on and be like, who wants so-and-so? And you all three look at each other like, DC. You know what I mean? Because there are ones that you like to do, but it's still a job. And it's like, I don't really know much about this guy. I got to kill 15 minutes with the guy that owns Fathead. You know what I mean? That's what happens sometimes at this point.
The Lisi's
we'll make sure Exactly. Maybe we have those Quinn youths and we'll say the chef's name wrong repeatedly. It's going to happen out there, so just get ready for it. But the boys will be on scene in 2 weeks, but we got a long way to go this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show today. For JP behind the wheels of Steel, Donnie right side, and Kevin Walsh. Tomorrow, I'll be back solo mission right here on Moneyline.
Being a SportsGrid listener doesn't make life perfect.
But it'll do till perfect comes along.
We're the